Not that nervous at all.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and
Good afternoon and welcome to a very special pink tea and pink cocktail program. I'd like to introduce you to my co-MC, Dr. Kristen Reisenauer, radiologist at Gritman Medical Center. We are excited to be your host today. Thank you for joining us for a celebration of healing and survival. Before we get started, I want to remind everyone watching to comment with your name and email address to be entered to win one of the 2 handmade quilts behind me. These 2 beautiful quilts were handmade by Gritman's own Anna Harlow Truscott. Anna is a lead cook and culinary creator at Gritman's Pearl Bistro. Anna is also a dedicated supporter of the pink tea and cocktail. Anna, thank you for sharing your talents with us. Again, please comment with your name and email address by 2:45 p.m. to be entered into the raffle. 2 winners will be announced at the end of the program. This is the 19th annual Gritman Medical Center Pink Tea and the 6th annual Pink Cocktail. 2020 has brought many challenges, but this community has risen up to meet those challenges in the best way we can. The pink tea and cocktail is no different. The Gritman Pink Tea and Cocktail has been a meaningful tradition for our community to come together in support of cancer care services in our region. We considered many options on how we wanted to handle the program this year in the face of the pandemic. We believe, more than ever, that it is important to join together and care for each other with compassion and respect, even when we can't be together in person. Of course, our priority is keeping people safe and healthy by not gathering as a group. We know how dedicated our community is to taking care of one another and supporting each other in our times of need. We see that each year at the Pink Tea and Pink Cocktail. For 19 years, this program has continued, and we decided this year would be no different. So thank you for tuning in and your continued support. From our longtime corporate sponsors who supported these events, even with a dramatically different format, community members reaching out to help with technology to make this program possible, our incredible speakers who stepped up on short notice, and all of you taking time out of your day to participate. Thank you. You are the reason we are able to continue with this event this year.
Thank you, Kara. I would first just like to say how happy I am to be here today for this very special pink tea and pink cocktail event. This past year has been challenging, which is why coming together today seems all that more meaningful and important. We're here to celebrate, encourage, and to support one another in these times. This event is a testament to all of our resilience, a bold statement that we're all here in this fight together, and a concrete example that Gritman and each and every member of our community are still here striving to defeat cancer. These past few months have been disorienting to many of us, but what I really want you to hear from me today is that we've got this. Gritman has always led from a position of doing what's right for the patient above all else, and these times only serve to highlight this commitment. Breast cancer doesn't stop for COVID, and we won't either. Now, more than ever, it's so important that we take care of ourselves, and that means continuing to do those things that keep us healthy, like our annual mammograms and other exams. When we opened the Women's Imaging Center more than 20 years ago, I never thought of this scenario. Creating this separate oasis of care within the hospital was intended as a source of privacy, but now, fortuitously, it also offers a harbor of safety for our patients. Unfortunately, the demographics of those who will most benefit from annual mammography overlap with those who are at the greatest risk for COVID complications. But because of this private space, our individual scheduling and other controls, we can provide the very safest environment possible. we want you to feel as comfortable scheduling your mammogram today as ever before. This is the 19th year of a tradition that was set forth through the vision of our former First Lady of Idaho and my very dear friend, Patricia Kempthorne. What started as a gathering of a few individuals to promote breast cancer awareness and provide free cancer screening steadily grew to enable early breast cancer detection and other care to thousands of women in this region. Gritman has now firmly established a base for oncology services on the Palouse, and we continue to challenge ourselves to meet the entire spectrum of cancer support services for the region. But I know that none of this would have been possible without the heartfelt generosity of each and every one of you. In 2018 alone, $53,000 was gifted to our neighbors and loved ones facing the myriad of hardships associated with cancer. While COVID only exacerbates the need, I'm just as confident that we as a community will shatter that ceiling again today. This year, our focus will be divided amongst 3 critical programs that are lifelines for our community families affected by cancer. These are the Bosom Buddies Fund, the Light a Candle Program, and the Cancer Care Fund. The Bosom Buddies Fund continues our primary mission of providing free mammograms for any Latah County resident that can't afford these exams. Early detection saves lives, and this is one more way that Gritman has led from a position of love in the fight against this dreadful disease. The Light a Candle program is designed to ease some of the financial burdens that a cancer diagnosis thrusts upon us. The fund tailors the aid to each patient to help with almost any needed service, such as housekeeping or grocery assistance, childcare, gas cards, and more. Finally, the Cancer Care Fund supports patients on a need-by-need basis, often used to purchase specialized cancer items and medical equipment for those most vulnerable. You know, at each of these events, I'm simultaneously so very proud to be part of this amazing team and humbled by each and every one of your generous spirits. I'm also reminded that none of this would have been possible without the vision of our former First Lady of Idaho, Patricia Kempthorne. Today, we get to hear from her directly as to the why of this amazing event. It is truly my distinct pleasure to introduce to you a lady that inspires me, our former First Lady of Idaho and founder of Pink Tea, Patricia Kempthorne.
Good afternoon. I'm so happy I could join you for the 19th annual Pink Tea and Cocktail Party in Moscow, Idaho, and wherever else you may be. In spite of all the uncertainty that is going on right now, and with the health precautions we take seriously on a daily basis, thanks to all for making it possible for us to gather and celebrate this meaningful tradition in your community and support cancer care services. No one could have predicted 19 years ago that the Pink Tea would add a cocktail party and would be a signature virtual event during a pandemic. Though honestly, I'm not surprised at all that Gritman was able to bring us together in 2020. Because really, coming together is what this is all about. Coming together to encourage each other to stay safe and healthy during this vulnerable time. Coming together to raise funds for technologies and awareness that save lives. Coming together to celebrate those lives saved. Coming together in celebration of our warriors and in honor of those who have gone before us. Coming together to support one another and remember we are not alone. I can't think of a time when coming together has meant more. I was asked to share today a little about why the Pink Tea started back when I was serving as First Lady. And I say, first and foremost, we knew that we needed to do a better job of spreading the message of early detection. We knew that simple message would make a difference, and it has. I am honored to be a part of this particular event in Moscow, which blossomed beyond our wildest dreams and continues to grow. Soon after graduating from the U of I, over 40 years ago, I'm afraid, I took a job with the American Cancer Society. I was a regional education director and had the responsibility of traveling to 16 counties in southern Idaho to develop education programs about cancer awareness and prevention. More than once, when I approached an individual or group about cancer, they would literally step away from me as if just talking about cancer made them more susceptible to the disease. I have lost my mother, my father, my teenage nephew, and a sister-in-law to cancer. My mother when I was just 7 months old, my father when I was 30, my nephew about 17 years ago, and my sister-in-law not long afterwards. I am so grateful that today we do not shy away from sharing all we can about cancer. I will continue for as long as I am able to honor their lives by speaking in support of cancer awareness and care. Certainly, this year all of our lives has been changed, and our ability to come together to support and celebrate a bit stifled. But I want to remember that for the past 5 years, this community has given over $100,000 for cancer care programs. You have served over 100 people each year through the Bosom Buddies program, and the number of mammograms has grown by 100 each year. That is significant. I'm very proud to be a part of the first women's imaging center within a hospital and the first to provide 3D image screening here in Idaho. I know that medical facilities across Idaho and right there at Gritman are working to ensure our health and safety and continue to provide preventative screenings. My hope is that the next year we will be able to come together in person for the 20th annual Pink Tea and Cocktail. Until then, take care of yourself, care for yourself and those around you. Don't forget your mammogram and call a girlfriend or sister or mother or daughter or neighbor. Encourage them to be screened. To close, I want to share this poem I had framed and placed in the Women's Imaging Center several years ago as a message of hope and comfort. My wish is that it will bring some of that to you today. The poem is called To Believe. To believe is to know that every day is a new beginning. It is to trust miracles happen and dreams really do come true. To believe is to see angels dancing amongst clouds, to know the wonder of a starburst sky and the wisdom of the man in the moon. To believe is to know the value of a nurturing heart, the innocence of a child's eyes, and the beauty of an aging hand. For it is through their teachings we learn to love. To believe is to find strength and courage that lies within us when it is time to pick up the pieces and begin again. To believe is to know we are not alone, that life is a gift and this is our time to cherish it. To believe is to know that wonderful surprises are just waiting to happen and all our hopes and dreams are within reach, if only we believe. The author of this poem is unknown, but I offer it to you again and remind you to be kind to yourself. Know you are a part of a caring community. I miss being together, but will be forever grateful for your compassion, grace, and love. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Patricia. You are an inspiration, and we are so proud to have you as part of our Gritman family. Each year, we take a moment to recognize all cancer survivors and those currently battling cancer. This year, we will show this honor through observing 10 seconds of silence to reflect on your grace and strength. Thank you, and we hope you know you are surrounded by a community that loves you.
Every year, local high schools join in our effort for cancer care in our region. We'd like to take a moment to recognize Moscow High, Troy, and Genesee volleyball teams who played in this year's Spike for a Cure games. The theme for these games was We're in this together, which seems to be a very fitting theme for 2020. We're so proud of all of you, and thank you again. Like most of us, I've spent a lot of time this year reflecting. As I was preparing for this year's virtual pink tea and cocktail, I was reflecting on how much Gritman's cancer care resources have advanced over the years. The Women's Imaging Center was actually a concept of my mother-in-law, who brought it to me many, many years ago. She described a place where women could come to get their mammograms that was spa-like and serene, a place where they're welcomed and cared for and feel safe. I'm so proud that Gritman created the first Women's Imaging Center in the state of Idaho. I was just as proud of Gritman when they took the lead in our region by adopting 3D mammography. I firmly believe that their leadership not only improved outcomes for women in Latah County, but also encouraged other hospitals in the Pacific Northwest to adopt this 3D technology, therefore positively changing the trajectory of women's healthcare far beyond the reach of our local hospital. As we've continued to build out our services and cancer support for patients while working to make sure that we have the critical technology to advance cancer care here at Gritman. It's easy to see that the value of these services for cancer patients and the critical need for technology to advance cancer care. As we announced last year, our regional hospital partners in Moscow, Pullman, and Colfax brought full-time neurology and oncology services to our community, allowing patients, most importantly, to receive their care close to home. On September 17th, our next speaker, Kayla Thomas, rang the bell of her last chemotherapy treatment at Police Oncology and Hematology, operated in partnership with Cancer Care Northwest, right here in Moscow. Kayla is an inspiration, and we're honored to hear her speak and tell her story of her diagnosis, treatment, and survival.
Hello, I'm Kayla Thomas. I'm 41, and on April 13th, 2020, I was diagnosed with invasive ductal carcinoma. I have an amazing husband who has held my hand and loved me well through this entire journey. I'm the mom to a brave and strong 14-year-old daughter. She has stepped up and been an incredible helper and made many a sacrifice for me. These two reside in the epicenter of my group of cheerleaders. I'm also a dog mom to two adorable rescue pooches, a French bulldog and a Chiweenie. They manage to make me smile at least once a day and are always down for full-on snuggle mode when I don't feel well. One of the biggest lessons I've learned so far as I go through this cancer journey is the importance of sharing the experience. To open yourself so others can pour into you, which creates a cycle where when the time comes, you can pour into others. I feel incredibly blessed to be standing here today, even though I haven't completed my adventure with cancer quite yet. Let me get you all up to date. There was no history of breast cancer in my family. So when I turned 40 and spoke with my primary care provider about whether or not I needed to have a mammogram, we decided that since I didn't have any other risk factors, it was safe to hold off for a couple of years. 10 months later, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Not only that, it was CHEK2 positive, which is a genetic form of breast cancer that would require me to get a double mastectomy. One morning in late March, I got out of the shower and reached for my deodorant. When I lifted my left arm, I noticed my skin was peeling, which was really weird for me. So I got in there for a better look. And when my fingertips settled on my breast, I felt something I'd never felt before. Confession time. I was never consistent with checking my breasts each month. I probably did it less than a handful of times a year. I've felt cysts in that breast before, in the same area in fact, but this felt different. The first time, it was firm and it didn't move. It's hard to put into words, and I'm not sure if everyone's tumors feel the same. Despite the fact my gut knew it was different, I told myself it was most likely just a cyst. That said, when I had my primary caregiver on the phone a few days later for another matter, I told her what I'd found. The next 2 weeks were a blur. I got in for a mammogram and an ultrasound. 2 days later, I had a biopsy. With each test, I knew the likelihood of getting good news was getting smaller. The radiologist who did my biopsy was so wonderful. He mentally prepared me for the news I was most likely to receive after the weekend. And he was right, which made the diagnosis less shocking. 2 days after the diagnosis call from my primary care provider, my husband and I were in the office of a surgical oncologist with Cancer Care Northwest in Spokane. My hope was surgery was the answer, and we'd be done with this nightmare by midsummer. Being diagnosed with cancer is bad enough, but all of this was happening in the midst of COVID-19. My daughter was doing school at home, and while I was grateful to have her settled, safe, and old enough to be self-sufficient, she was also old enough to be fully aware of what was happening to me. I had to move through my own fear and grief as well as support her. My surgical oncologist ordered an MRI to get a better look at my tumor, which revealed it to be much larger than we had originally thought and running deep, ending close to my chest wall and pectoral muscle. I think of it like an iceberg. What we all felt on the outside was just the tip top. This new information meant that I had to have chemotherapy to shrink the tumor to a more operable size. Since then, I've had 16 rounds of chemo. I've endured mouth sores, nausea, hair loss, fatigue, and those are just the things I want to talk about in public. I don't bring up the rigors of chemo for pity. It was awful, don't get me wrong. But now that I'm 3.5 weeks outside of chemo, I can look back and see how the process was shaping me. My empathy muscle has gotten stronger, not just for folks going through cancer, but I have new eyes for all people in their struggles because everyone is dealing with something. I also look back and realize I could not have gotten through this without my faith and my people. I hesitated about how public I wanted to be with my diagnosis and the things I was about to go through. Cancer is messy, but my extroverted heart told me I needed to tell my story. My people have always lifted me up. So I did the big Facebook announcement and have been overwhelmed with the outpouring of support to my initial post and the updates I've shared since. Even when I felt my worst, I kept myself open. I have a few folks I kept close for the intimate details, but I have shared the big elements, and it has been such a blessing. People I had no idea had experienced cancer either themselves or through a loved one told me their stories. In turn, these stories inspired me and some days gave me the strength to keep my eyes pointed forward instead of down. So often we don't want to burden others with our stuff, especially in this era of social media when everyone is looking so polished and happy. However, being open about the not so pretty things in our lives gives people permission to share theirs, and we can all support one another. Most people want to help but don't know how. Communicating our needs well, expressing how folks can best care for us, is a gift to our people and to ourselves. I understand that not everyone has people they can trust and lean on in a crisis, but it doesn't mean you have to go it alone. You can find support through Gritman's Cancer Resource Center. Like I'm sure most cancer patients do, I often found myself bending God's ear, wondering why I had breast cancer. I've lived a fairly healthy and active lifestyle. There are so many things I will never understand while I'm on this side of heaven, but I can tell you this. I have gotten to meet some fabulous people on this journey, people I would never have met otherwise. I was fortunate enough to be able to receive chemotherapy here in Moscow at the Palouse Oncology and Hematology Center. What a blessing it was not to have to drive back and forth to Spokane every week. The staff there became friends. Whether I was there for a checkup with my oncologist, a blood draw, or chemotherapy, it felt like a social event. Everyone made an effort to know me and ask how I was doing and really mean it. They were some of the few people I was seeing in person this summer, and I'm forever grateful for their positive energy and quick giggles. And professionally, everyone was knowledgeable and made me feel at ease. They made what was a traumatizing event bearable. So, here I am recording this talk 2 days before the first of what most likely be 3 surgeries. Grateful for the opportunity to share my story. I'm nervous, but in about 48 hours, that tumor will be out of my body, and I believe I will be cancer-free. I want to thank the organizers of the Pink Tea and Cocktail for asking me to share my story with you. Take care of each other and be well.
As mentioned in her video, Kayla had a double mastectomy last Thursday. We are happy to report that the surgery was a success and Kayla is watching this program today. Kayla, thank you for sharing your story. Your courage brings us together. We are wishing you a continued fast recovery. Kayla's story of how she found the tumor in her breast made me want to take a moment to reassure you that in the midst of the pandemic, the team at Gritman is working around the clock to take extra precautions to keep you safe when you visit the hospital. I want to personally encourage you to schedule your mammography today. Please don't delay your health care. We are dedicated to your safety and well-being. Speaking of regional partnerships, Palouse Specialty Physicians and Palouse Surgeons are our partnership with Pullman Regional Hospital and Whitman Hospital and Medical Center in Colfax. This joint venture is a culmination of a vision and a passion for community collaboration to provide exceptional community and patient-centered care. One of our newest members of the team at Palouse Surgeons is Dr. Nancy Pankow. She was born and raised in Anchorage, Alaska, and attended medical school at the University of Washington, the WWAMI program, followed by a general surgery residency at St. Joseph's Hospital in Chicago. She then went on to complete an advanced GI minimally invasive surgery fellowship at UT in Houston. Dr. Pankow says she and her family have felt a sense of community since they arrived on the Palouse. She loves getting the chance to work with all three hospitals in the area and provide care to our patients close to their homes. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Nancy Pankow.
Hi, my name is Dr. Nancy Pankow, and I'm a general surgeon. I joined Palouse Surgeons 1 year ago after spending the last few years in Chicago and Houston. What I love about this area is the close-knit community. I feel like I get to know my patients and their families on a much deeper level than I experienced in bigger cities. And I love that I am able to provide a level of care similar to what you can receive in a larger hospital. I know how important it is to receive care close to home, in your own community, surrounded by the people you know and trust. Here in Moscow, we have the tools and expertise to treat our breast cancer patients at the highest level and allow them to stay close to home. As a surgeon, I want to be able to support my patients throughout their treatment. From the Women's Imaging Center at Gritman, to our skill in the operating room, and on to our comprehensive oncology department, I know that my patients will be well cared for. It is an honor for me to serve this community, and I want our breast cancer patients to know that we will be there for them every step of the way.
We're so thrilled to have Dr. Pankow serving full-time on the Palouse, keeping patients and our families close to home. Over the years, we've been blessed to hear the truly inspirational stories of people fighting cancer. As healthcare workers, this is always one of the most memorable parts of our year. In 2017, we heard from Dr. and Mrs. Schweitzer as they talked about their cancer journey. He spoke of his journey battling cancer. She talked about what it's like being the spouse of a cancer patient. Today, we're thrilled again to hear from them. In addition, the Schweitzers are generous supporters of Gritman Medical Center. We truly thank them for their dedication and generosity.
Beatrice and I are delighted to be with you to help celebrate your Pink Tea and Pink Cocktail events. Thank you very much for the invitation.
We love this event in which we get to wear pink. My husband looks great in pink.
Thank you, so do you.
And we really want to take the opportunity to thank all of the medical staff who are serving us in these challenging times. COVID is here now, and boy, it has changed all of our lives. But let's not forget, cancer has been here forever. It's still here.
You're right, Beatrice. As you know, last week I went to get a PET scan, and fortunately they didn't find any new pets. The only pet we have is Tina, who is also
wearing pink. I'm so glad they didn't find any pets. But we cannot let our guards down. We have to continue to be careful. We need to continue to do all of the scans and our screenings.
You're right, Beatrice. You know, it seems like all of our lives are affected by cancer, and just like they are by COVID. About a month ago, my sister Jeannie, who lives in Seattle, was diagnosed and is already being treated for a rare form of cancer, kind of a distant cousin of the kind that I had years ago.
My sister-in-law is such a fighter.
Well, you know what, Beatrice? I think that we should toast with tea to all the fighters and for this pink tea fundraiser.
There's your tea.
Salute.
Or we can say, make a toast with tequila. It could be more fun.
Yeah, Bea, you really know how to put the fun in the fundraiser. And yes, this is a fundraiser.
It is a fundraiser. We can all donate. Everything adds up.
This all does add up. It adds up to our community coming together closer than ever. Even when we need to be more physically distant, this brings us socially close.
It is so wonderful to be part of this community that finds ways to stay together, to be even closer together during these challenging times. Here we are.
And to our friends at Gritman, thank you all for giving us this opportunity to contribute and support cancer care close to home. From the bottom of our hearts,
thank you.
Thank you, Bea and Ed, for your touching message. Your sister will be in our thoughts and prayers. We are extremely grateful to the Schweitzers to be able to share that Bea and Ed generously donated $20,000 today to the Pink Tea and Pink Cocktail Kickstart of our fundraising efforts. Thank you so much for your generosity. Just a quick reminder to enter the raffle via Facebook, comment or text. You only have 5 minutes left. For those of you who have been attending Pink Tea and Pink Cocktail for a number of years, you know that our event wouldn't be complete without hearing from Tina McClure. For those of you who are new, Tina is a cancer survivor and educator. We are happy to be able to join Tina for story time, and who couldn't use a good story right now?
Hello everyone, it's me, Tina McClure, breast cancer survivor, 2013, mother, Moscow resident, teacher at Pullman Christian School. I hope you guys are enjoying our virtual pink tea and cocktail this year. I thought you guys might need a little change of pace, since the whole world is in a new change of pace, right? I thought I would read a story to you, and it always has a moral at the end. So, are you guys ready? Well, it won't be any good without my glasses, so here we go. But look, pink! Okay. This book is called Swimmy. I love this book. I used to read it to my boys, and this is the giant version. I even need this to see through my glasses here, okay? Swimmy, and I love the pictures. A happy school of little fish lived in a corner of the sea somewhere. They were all red. Only one of them was as black as a mussel shell. He swam faster than his brothers and sisters. His name was Swimmy. There he is. one bad day, a tuna fish, swift, fierce, and very hungry, came darting through the waves. In one gulp, he swallowed all the little red fish. Only Swimmy escaped. He swam away in the deep, wet world. He was scared, lonely, and very sad. Oh, Swimmy. But the sea was full of wonderful creatures. And as he swam from marvel to marvel, Swimmy was happy again. He saw a Medusa made of rainbow jelly. A lobster who walked about like a water-moving machine. So cute. Strange fish pulled by an invisible thread. This is harder than it looks. And a forest of seaweeds growing from sugar candy rocks. I love those pictures. An eel whose tail was almost too far away to remember. And sea anemones. Anemones? Did I say that right? I did. Okay, wait. Should we stop right there? And sea anemones who looked like pink palm trees swaying in the wind. Then, hidden in the dark shade of rocks and weeds, he saw a school of little fish, just like his own. Let's go and swim and play and see things, he said happily. We can't, said the little red fish. The big fish will eat us all. But you just can't lie there, said Swimmy. We must think of something. Swimmy thought and thought and thought. And then suddenly he said, I have it. We're going to swim all together, like the biggest fish in the sea. Good job, Swimmy. He taught them to swim close together, each in his own place. Do you see what's happening here? Take a look, close up. And when they had learned to swim like one giant fish, he said, I'll be the eye. And so they swam in the cool morning water and in the midday sun and chased the big fish away. The end. That's Swimmy. Well, I guess you guys probably have a pretty good idea why I chose Swimmy for today. You know, when you get a diagnosis of cancer, you kind of feel like Swimmy. You're different, you're alone, you're scared, and you're afraid of that big bad tuna fish. You're afraid of cancer. But what happened? He found a friendship. He found that he was safe when he was surrounded by people who loved him. Well, fish, I guess. And just like Swimmy, you guys all play an important role in defeating big bad cancer, that big bad fish. Like Swimmy, we all have a role. Some of us are doctors and nurses and medical staff and people who run technical machines that I don't even know the names of them, and people that are our friends and our family, people like you, people who come together and we're stronger when we're all working together. So today, we're here at the Pink Tea, And you know what that means. Even though we're apart, we got to be together like Swimmy, right? We got to stick together. We got to do our job. We got to help each other. And that's how we're going to see a victory over cancer, over breast cancer. So I hope you enjoyed my story. I'm such a teacher and I love to read. And I'm proud of you guys because I know that we've worked together in so many ways for so many years. And this year is no different. Cancer doesn't take a break for COVID, and helping others doesn't take a break for COVID. So I hope that you remember that and contribute because we all got to work together, just like Swimmy. Bye. Bye. Okay, should I try it again or was that okay? Just like Swimmy. Oh, Adina, you're so cute.
You've been such a part of
Oh, I love you guys.
Wow. I don't know about you, but I feel better already. I needed that. Thank you, Tina. That was great. The technology and programs that are offered through Gritman Medical Center and Gritman Foundation are life-changing and really wouldn't be possible without your support. Your stories are what inspire us to do this life-saving work. And we can't do it without each and every one of you.
On behalf of all of us at Gritman Medical Center and the Gritman Foundation, thank you for helping make these stories of survival a reality. Thank you for your continued support of cancer care services at Gritman Medical Center. Please visit gritman.org/pinktea to make a gift of support. Now the part we have all been waiting for, the Quilt Raffle. Thank you again to Anna Harlow Truscott for making and donating these quilts.
I was handed 2 envelopes, so the 2 winners. It's very exciting. Let's see. The first winner, Mary Schneider. Yay! Oh, I guess I have to speak into the mic. The first winner, Mary Schneider. Yay! And I have one more. Terry Walter Cadis. Terry Walter Cadis. Yay!
We will reach out to both of you to coordinate delivery. Thank you again for joining us today, and thank you for making our community a healthy and vibrant place to live. Thanks again for joining us for the special Pink Tea and helping in the fight against cancer. I hope you have a wonderful day. We look forward to hopefully seeing you next year in person.
Thank you all.
Thank you.